Justin Allgaier is in the house today. Man, congrats on the big win not too long ago. That must feel great.
It feels great. Anytime you can go to victory lane is obviously important, but the stretch of runs that we've had that we've not been able to go to victory lane has been tough. So to finally be able to do that, to get a win for all the guys, for everybody here at Junior Motorsports, it just feels good. So we're pumped up. Obviously, we're peaking at the right time, right? The playoffs are right around the corner, and we want to make sure that we do a good job for those.
Is it a monkey off the back kind of feeling? Like, I know for so many drivers, you just got to get that first one, and then it almost unleashes the beast for the rest of the season.
Well, we hope so. Obviously, that would be great. But I think also, too, from our standpoint, you never know if you're going to get the next one, right? It's not a matter of when. This isn't a participation trophy, right? It's obviously doing battle with a lot of talented race car drivers and talented teams. So, when you get to those moments and you get a drought for that many races, you start questioning things, right? And what am I doing wrong? What could I do better? What is it going to take for us to finally go to victory lane? And really, all that it took was just a day of no mistakes, right? It just, everything seemed to fall our way. The restarts happened to work out the way that we needed them to. We made great adjustments on the car all day. The pit crew was fantastic. The spotter was able to work me through all those little details that really made the difference. So, I think when you have those moments and everything works out the way that they're supposed to, it just feels easy, right? And we've had a lot of days the opposite of that, where you feel like you're doing everything right and nothing can go your way. The restart zone or the restart lane that you get put in, the car in front of you doesn't take off, or the pit stop, the gun breaks on a pit stop and you have a slow pit stop. There's so many scenarios that can really play into what we're doing, and I feel like Saturday was just one of those days that everything went perfectly, and we were able to go home with a trophy, and made it feel really good for all those days that didn't work out.
I've heard you describe racing as like golf, and how when it's going really good, you're loving it, and then when it doesn't go great, you don't want to play anymore. How difficult has it been kind of managing just the world of racing?
Well, extremely difficult. I'll be the first to say, I've second guessed what I want to be doing in life, and if this was what I needed to be at in this position where I'm at in life, and it wasn't because I didn't have passion for it. It's just I want to make sure that everybody that's involved, whether that be my family, our sponsors, our team, I want to make sure that I'm the best tool for the job, right? Going back to your golf analogy, you wouldn't take a driver onto a putting green, but you also wouldn't take your putter to the tee box, right? So making sure that you're using the right tool, and I still feel like I have a lot of fight in me. I still feel like I'm as competitive as I've ever been. But when you have the stretch of bad races that we've had, and I wouldn't even really say that they're bad. We've had a lot of seconds, a lot of thirds, a lot of really good finishes. You just still mentally, start to second guess everything, and so I think this weekend was not only a good rebound for the program and for everybody at Junior Motorsports, but it was a good rebound for me. It was a good reset for me. Not that one win fixes everything, right? But I think it just finally shows the hard work and dedication that you're putting in is paying off, and you feel like you're actually accomplishing what you set out to do, and that makes it nice.
With the win, you credited the keyboard warriors as kind of fueling your fire. Do you look at that kind of stuff and almost turn it around?
Yeah, I've always been one. I think it's interesting. So social media for me is very, very unique in the fact that, I look at every tweet that comes through. I look at all the posts on social media on Instagram and Facebook. And my wife always tells me, she's like, you can't look at that negative stuff, right? You need to look at only the positive. And I said, yeah, but if I look at life in general, like it's not all roses and smell good. There's a lot of things in life that go against us, and there's a lot of negatives. But I am a firm believer that you've taken up running, and you understand the frustrations, but as well as the good emotions that come along with running is no different than I did whenever I took up running. Right? You start out and you're like, man, I can't run the pace I want to run, or things aren't going against you, and you look at somebody else's run. For me, it was always Jamie McMurray, and the guy runs like 15 miles a day, average of 7-minute miles. And I just go, man, that's never going to happen, right? I'm never going to get there. So then you're like, well, if I just don't run, it's better off for everybody, right? But I've always taken the social media side of things, and I look at what's good, because I think you can build yourself up when you look at what's good. But I also look at the criticism, whether that be extremely harsh, which it was after Daytona, or just some people have, this is their opinion. But I think you look at that, and I think it makes you a better person. I think it makes you a more well-rounded person. I think you can learn things about yourself that sometimes having a cheerleader behind you don't necessarily teach you. And so I think that social media has been good for me. But last week was just interesting. Last week I felt like, as odd as this sounds, was probably the biggest attack, other than maybe Indianapolis when I filled in for Jimmy Johnson. There was quite the slew of things that went on through there. But I just feel like today in our society, we tend to have that you're either right or you're wrong, and there is no in between, and your opinion doesn't really matter. This is how I feel, and this is how it is. And that can be good in some aspects, but I also think that it can be bad in certain aspects. And so this week I just took all that negative energy and tried to funnel it into something positive, and it worked out.
Man, I think that's so cool to kind of turn that all around. And you mentioned Jamie McMurray. No one can ever run like him. You can look at the splits, but
he's a gazelle. That's all I can
Yeah.
say. He's a freak of nature, and I love him for it, because it gives me something to stride towards. Is knowing that I'll never get there. It gives me something to kind of shoot after.
Yeah, I know. Just at least to get somewhat close would be an accomplishment.
Right.
But this kind of segues into my next question. Simply, what is it that motivates you, that keeps you going? Obviously, turning that negative energy around is part of it, but what keeps you going and fires you up the most when it comes to getting in the race car?
The short answer is my daughter. As odd as that sounds, I look at my family. I have a great support system in my family. My wife, my daughter, my parents, my in-laws, my extended family. I have a great support system. And one of the things that we're teaching our daughter, especially right now, school time, she's going back to school, and she's actually going back in person, and she's been extremely nervous about it. And anxiety has been something. I know we tend to throw the word anxiety around a lot in today's times, but truly, when you can watch somebody psych themselves out of doing whatever task at hand, and you see the emotion, you see the raw emotion from them, especially at a young age. My daughter's 7, and when you see that raw emotion out of them, it's difficult. And I think, as parents, our job is to raise our kids with the best opportunities available, but also you need to lead by example, right? I know the saying always is, do as I say, not as I do. And as much as I believe that, we are all going to make mistakes, but I think that if you're constantly giving, whoever you're teaching, it could be a coworker, it could be a child, it could be anybody for that matter. I think if you're setting a good example, you're helping to cultivate that in their mind and instill that in them. And so for my daughter, our big thing is never to give up, don't quit. Even when you feel like you're down and out, just keep pushing through it, and you'll succeed at it. And so for me, as down as I've been and as frustrated as I can get, and all the things that I've kind of had going against me, the moment I quit, I lose, right? I don't lose because I quit racing, or I don't lose because I gave up on a task at hand. I lose because I didn't provide her the foundation to grow on, and to really help build her up. And so for me, every time I go get in a race car, truth be told, after Daytona, me thinking about her and all the other young folks out there that could potentially be watching our race, it would have been easy to go down and start a big brawl and have a bench clear, at the end of pit road. And as much as I wanted to do that, what does that help, right? Because at the end of the day, all it does is create more animosity between AJ and I, and it creates, a narrative that's not good for anybody. And so, for me, my motivation week in and week out is seeing my daughter and hearing, her excitement for me when I go to the racetrack and wanting me to win, and bringing those trophies home and those checkered flags home. I mean, it was really cool last week to be able to walk in the door and of the hotel room, because they actually were staying at the hotel at the racetrack, but be able to walk in the door of the hotel with that checkered flag and watching her interact with that was really cool.
Yeah, man. Oh, absolutely. And you do lead a great example both on and off the track. I want to
Thank you.
finish with this. The playoffs, man, you're officially locked in, ready to go. And I've learned to never be able to count you and the 7 team out. So what's the pitch that you guys can go all the way? And I mean, you got Phoenix this year, so is this finally going to be the year?
Well, I don't know if it will be or not, but what I can tell you is to win at Phoenix and to win a championship, you got to be in the Final Four.
Yep.
And I think that when we looked at 2020 and we knew that the move was going to be heading to Phoenix, I think we were all excited, right? We were all pumped up, we're ready to go. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect that it would take all the way until today, or this, now, to be able to be locked into the playoffs and to gain those few bonus points. We're going to need to do a really good job of not only competing at a high level, because there's so many cars that are capable of running out front right now. A win solves a lot of problems. If we can win somewhere in each one of those stages and lock our way into those next rounds, well, that fixes a lot. We don't have to worry about the points, but we need to go get some wins and bank those bonus points. And I think if we can do that, we'll have a great shot at least attempting to go for a championship in Phoenix. And of all the racetracks that we go to in the final round, that's the one that I have circled the most, that I'm the most excited about.
Man, well, I'm excited to see what you guys can do this season and the remainder of the season and go for that championship. I know you've been waiting for it a long time. Justin, I have to say, of all the people I've done these Zoom interviews with, I was most excited to talk to you. So I appreciate you coming on today.
Well, no problem, man. I do really appreciate it. And what you do for this sport obviously is really cool. And I'm bummed that we don't see it at the racetrack nearly as often. It's been so disappointing in that regard. You're always a smiling face that I can count on when we go to the racetrack. So it's been disappointing, but hopefully we can all get back together soon and have a little bit of fun and maybe even catch a run together.
Exactly. That sounds like a good plan. Appreciate it, Justin.
Thank you.